Hi, this is Jeffrey Kurt Financial Group. Today's Tuesday, May 27, 2025, back after the three-day Memorial Day weekend. So looking back at last week, some things to point out. The last 4 days of last week were down, and it was a pretty ugly sell-off. The Dow was down about 3%, and the Russell was down about 3%. The S&P and the NASDAQ down 2.5% to 2.75%. And again, that was all in the last 4 days of last week. Monday was kind of an unchanged day. But the weak stock market kind of forced by Trump talking about tariffs on the European Union starting June 1. There was a bad Treasury auction. Again, the government selling bonds to finance the debt, and it wasn't received very well. That caused a quick and big sell-off right after the news of the auction going poorly. And then there was some things about President Trump wanting Apple to make sure that they manufacture the iPhone onshore. That caused some turmoil in the markets too. So overall, it was a down and a pretty bad week last week. So, after that, at the end of the week, just for give you some numbers, the Dow is down 2.2% year to date. The S&P is down 1.33% year to date. NASDAQ down 3% year to date, and the Russell down about 8.5% year to date. Now, looking ahead, got some big events this week, and the biggest is Nvidia's earnings tomorrow, Wednesday, after the close. Nvidia had some news either yesterday or this morning about a new chip that's coming out, and it's going to be cheaper and like that. So that helped the stock market this morning, as well as on Sunday, President Trump, the news on the tariffs on the European Union being pushed out to July 1. And I saw some news today that they're going to be working fast track on negotiating a deal, the USA and the EU. So that's going on. Jobless claims is on Thursday. It's every week. But people have been watching that more closely. And then a PCE number, which is an inflation number that the Fed uses, that's coming out this week too. So, again, I want to point out that I'm doing this about midday on Tuesday, and the markets bounced, on that news that the EU tariffs deadline is being pushed out to July 9, I think. And so that's, given the markets, kind of a reprieve. It'll be interesting to see if some follow through, after the 4 down days. Is this just a correction and then a further weakness and sell off later in the week? And clearly the Nvidia will be, a motivating factor pushing, I think the overall market up or down too. So not going to be back until Friday, unless there's some, significant news. I could do one tomorrow, Wednesday, or Thursday, depending on maybe the Nvidia. But otherwise, we'll be back on Friday. Thank you for listening. Call us, text, email with any questions, suggestions. Thank you again. Goodbye.